Buddy Jason Sarney here with PhinManiacs.com, and we are live 8:30 in the morning on Sunday, week 2, going into the Buffalo Bills matchup. I'm with my buddy and the editor-in-chief of PhinManiacs, Chip Turner. Chip, good morning to you up in sunshiny PA.
Good morning, Jason. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, it's nice and cool up here. It's much cooler than it's going to be at Hard Rock this afternoon, that's for sure. It's about 50-some degrees here, maybe 52. From what I understand, it's going to feel like it's in the mid-90s. Game time today. Hopefully, Buffalo Bills will melt under the pressure.
I love it. And for anybody that knows and goes to Hard Rock Stadium, since 2016, they're 24-15 there. Now, a lot of that has to do with a bit of strategic architecture, Chip. I'm sure you know this, that there is a nice little block of sun that beams down in the visitor sidelines, and those poor souls that do fill the seats in the visitor section of Hard Rock. But you do not want to sit in that area. You do not want to be wearing pads in that area. No. And when you say 90 degrees, that's music to our ears as Fin fans, because that's a home advantage for the Miami Dolphins. So speaking of advantage, let's talk about what might be looked at as an advantage going on into this game. And that is, in my mind, not a must-win situation. It's a need-to-win situation. Now, I'll explain the difference, but before that, I want to hear your take on a 1-0 Miami Dolphins team holding home court against an 0-1 Buffalo Bills team, and we'll go on into the importance of those records in a moment.
Yeah, the Dolphins got a win last week. I don't care what anybody says about how lucky it was. The Dolphins won in Foxborough on opening day, and that doesn't happen very often to that Patriots team. Today is an immensely important game. Like you said, it's not a must-win. But it would be really nice to have a 2-game cushion over the Buffalo Bills. It's not going to be easy. I don't think anybody is claiming that or thinking that it's going to be an easy victory to acquire. But if Miami comes out of there today with a 2-game, well, technically a 2.5-game lead over the Buffalo Bills in hand, that's going to be a tremendous advantage to them come December/early January.
Agreed. And it's not a must-win week 2, because there have been anomalies where a team could start 0-2 and make the playoffs. There have been times where the Dolphins have started 3-0 and have not. So, yeah, we got to take this all with a grain of sea salt, as I like to jokingly say. But the fact of the matter is, for the Bills to potentially go down 0-2 in the AFC conference and the Dolphins to go up 2-0 in the AFC East division puts those fun little mathematical tiebreakers in December. That's almost like the appetizer bonus that the Dolphins will have mathematically. So these are all important things to look at now. And historically, Chip, and correct me if I'm wrong, the last 2 decades, let's say, the Dolphins as an organization and as a team, regardless of the regime, regardless of the personnel, they have neglected to put the proverbial foot on the throat. You know, they have an opportunity to do something relatively like that going into 2 winnable games in the next 2 weeks, heading into a Tom Brady matchup. So potentially, not to get ahead, this could be a 3-1 or 4-0 team heading on into a big test of a match against Super Bowl champions.
Yeah. It is, and you're dead on with the Dolphins have not had a killer instinct in a while. They haven't fared well against Buffalo, let's be perfectly honest, for the past few years. It would be tremendously advantageous for Miami to get a, like you said, either be 3-1 or 4-0 traveling up to Tampa Bay to see the Super Bowl champions. Now, there's a lot of football to be played between then and now. But I really liked what I saw from a lot of players, specifically the rookies, in week 1. And I think they will be instrumental into determining the Dolphins' record come week 5.
So speaking of the rookies, you know, they're all over the place on the field, which is terrific because usually in a draft class, you might see 1 or 2 rookies, but the Dolphins have 4 or even 5 that could see really pertinent time this season. So is there a guy that you're circling? I have my guy today. It's not a shock, but I'd like to see if you have the similar guy. Who are you looking at today as a rookie to focus on?
Oh, it's going to be Javon Holland.
Boom, bingo.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were both of that opinion as well.
Yeah.
We cannot, I say we, it's a slip we all make when we're talking about the Dolphins.
You're allowed.
Yeah, the Dolphins can't allow what happened in the second matchup last year to happen again, and that is just Josh Allen tearing him up across the middle of the field, and the defensive backs had a horrific showing this past January,
Right.
And they can't have that happen again. Javon Holland, and I think you're going to see an awful lot of dime and even quarter defenses today, with 6 or 7 defensive backs on the field. They have to make Josh Allen beat them in coverage. And I think you're going to see a lot of, and people are talking about, well, it's great that we have Javon Holland, but then what are we going to do with Jason McCourty? And to be perfectly honest with you, you can have them both on the field at the same time in those packages. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, specifically when you're trying to plan against Josh Allen, because as has been shown time and time again, he does really well against the blitz. The key is to be able to get pressure with your front 4 and then play 7 off and make Josh Allen beat you on 3rd and long.
I love the analysis there, and you mentioned guys like a McCourty, and the veteran savviness of McCourty is important in a game like this because he's in interdivision against the Bills for his entire career, so he knows them. And then Javon Holland, I think, and then you look at the All-22, Josh Houch did a great job of breaking down in a tweet. Javon Holland is kind of like a heat-seeking torpedo missile, and that's what I've been kind of fiending for. And I think that's what he is, and he could be a guy who could be right place, right time beneficiary of the rest of the defenders out there. So if the outside guys do their job, you're focusing on that middle of the field, the Javon Holland, Eric Rose, McCourty's, Nick Needham's of the world. So moving on to the other side of the ball, and I'm glad that we were on the same page with Holland. Mm-hmm. Offensively, there is a little bit of, obviously, the elephant in the room we'll talk about real quick is the Will Fuller situation. He is out. We don't know when he will be in again. We're not here in the business of speculating, but we're in the business of informing what's not already known, which is basically there is nothing that we all don't know. And that is basically we don't know. So how are you going to, as a Dolphin, someone who covers, someone who watches as a fan, what are you looking for in the wide receiver room today?
Well, you're obviously going to have to. I mean, the expectation was that Will Fuller was going to come in and he was going to produce for this team. That's clearly not going to happen today. I know we all wish him the best in whatever he's going through, but everybody else has to step up. Whether it be big plays from Albert Wilson, say, who has not contributed, obviously, in well over a year, whether it be Jalen Waddle, whether it be Devontae Parker, whether it be Mike Gesicki, somebody is going to have to fill the void because you are not going to score 17 points against this Bills team and win. You're just not going to. Someone has to step up on offense. I believe they will. I believe that the Bills defense is not as good as the Patriots defense was last week. I think the Patriots defense is tremendously underrated. But someone's going to have to step up. I don't know who it's going to be. I think your guess is as good as mine, but the Dolphins are going to have some opportunities to make plays today. There's just too much explosiveness on that field. They just have to take advantage of it.
We have another next man up, and we're going back from offense to defense here, but Raekwon Davis was banged up. He's on the IR, albeit hopefully the temporary IR, the 3-week deal. I don't remember a time collectively where a young player was hurt like that, and this fan base was gasping for like, oh no. Mm-hmm. So thank God it's on the kind of minimal end. Anytime you hear IR, you cringe, but I think we're going to see him before Halloween. So that's okay, hopefully. But we need a guy like maybe Benito Jones to step up, maybe a veteran like John Jenkins. How important is the Dolphins' front 3, 4, 5 guys in that rotation now that they're down a man, they're down a huge man. Who is the guy to you that makes this team still go and not have a setback because of the Davis injury?
Yeah, he's literally a huge man. It is a huge loss. John Jenkins, I think, is the guy who is filling that need, and I think he's filling it fairly capably. But on that front four, I think they're still going to be able to run stuff when the time comes. I don't think it's nearly as much of an issue this year as it was last year. But I think the guy on that front line that they need to step up is going to come from one side or the other. They have to be able to get pressure on Josh Allen. And that's going to either come from Agba or it's going to come from Jalen Phillips. One of those two. And I think you'll see it because the Bills' offensive line did not have a good week last week. They did not look composed. They didn't look like they were working in sync. And can they fix that in a week and travel on the road? I'm not sure they can. So I think you're going to have some opportunities from one side or the other to put pressure on Allen in non-blitz packages, and someone has to come up with that.
Blitz packages are a perfect terminology because that's what I think. You mentioned 6, 7 DBs. I would love to see that because what we're going to see, maybe you're going to get those DB sacks. You know, you see them kind of come off the edge and really kind of be that secondary tier of pass rush that could mess up a Josh Allen. It could force him to go on a QB, rush. Maybe that's when, a linebacker can kind of plug him and really kind of let him know that's not what you might want to do against this defense this year. So I really hope that the mind of Brian Flores and the chess match kind of guy that he is really went back to the tape, to the drawing board. This is a man who has not beaten the Buffalo Bills as a head coach yet. This would be one heck of a time to do so, Chip. So moving on in the kind of player profiles or spotlights, is there a guy that we haven't really brought up that you're looking to, Preston Williams is a name that was tossed around. I do not think he's playing today. That's right. My gut. So we're looking at 2 wide receivers mainly, Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle. Are we going to get a Mac Hollins showing? Is Albert Wilson, as you referenced before? Who is that one X factor on offense that needs to perform today?
The X factor I think you're going to be hopefully surprised with today is in the wide receiver. I think it could be Salvon Ahmed because he showed up a lot in preseason, catching passes out of the backfield. And hopefully Tua has a little bit more time today than he had last week. I know that you can go back and debate on how good his pocket was or wasn't and how much pressured he was or wasn't. But for a guy who is essentially still has fewer games under his belt than a lot of rookies from last year, he's going to need that safety valve, that receiver coming out of the backfield. And I think Salvon Ahmed, if he is able to run a good wheel route, I think he could make a couple of plays today that could make a big difference as well.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up the wheel route because that's honestly across the board one of my favorite plays in the NFL when ran effectively because it's the most perfectly beautiful, pristine timing play you could have. And if run absolutely executed to perfection, running back waltzes in for a 60-yard score because that's really kind of what it's set up to do.
Right.
And that's Ahmed's job. I mean, I honestly think that that's his specialty, where if you time it the right way, that's the chunk play that the Dolphins will need, He obviously has the ability to do a lot of other things, but I like what Brian Flores is doing with specialties and jobs and assignments and fun things like that. So for Ahmed, you know what? It takes 4 plays that Ahmed could be on the field for, and he could have 50 yards. So that's effectiveness in what the Dolphins are doing there. So, Chip, we're doing a lot of fun things. We're halfway through. We're going to go about 15 more minutes. But guess what? I'm doing something that I've always wanted. I'm reading copy here for our sponsor, BetUS. I love what they do. They've been around for decades. They're really one of the biggest pioneers in the sports book industry. Go on over to betus.com, betus.com, 125% sign-up bonus. You could use the code PhinManiacs. And for all you crypto people out there, I don't know how this happens, but you can get a 200% bonus on crypto. So those who know more than me in that, can probably do some damage over at betus.com. So they're with us all season, and we're going to talk about a couple of fun plays before the show gets out. But moving on, we really touched on a lot of those X factors, a lot of the things that you're looking for. As a Dolphin fan, I saw on Twitter a lot of gatherings, a lot of Saturday night events, a lot of hype for Sunday morning. There are probably people ready to go tailgate as we talk, and the lines are accumulating at Hard Rock Stadium. How good do you feel from a fan base standpoint? Because last year was weird. We all know that. This year seems like it's the year we've all been waiting for. And I really just would love for everyone there in Miami, watching at home. I really feel like this is the year to kind of come together. Here at PhinManiacs, we're doing a lot of fun things. We're going to be doing a Jalen Waddle card giveaway because really we just want to bring this base close together as one. What are your thoughts on what you're seeing out there on the socials? Because it could be a dangerous ocean out there in Miami Dolphin social media waters.
Yeah, it could be. And I think you've got a couple different things going on. Number one, obviously last year in 2020, everything in the world that could possibly go wrong went wrong socially, publicly, the pandemic happening. You've got fans in stands. And this is the Dolphins home opener. And everyone has been itching to get out there and cheer for the Dolphins. The other thing that has occurred is Tom Brady isn't in New England anymore, and the Patriots are simply not the same team they were in Tom Brady's prime. You've got 3 teams now that all have legitimate chances to take this division. I know the odds makers still say the Bills are going to do it, and the Bills are the favorite. Let's not pretend that they're not. They are a couple of years ahead in development of where Miami is. Now, Miami's come along quicker than anybody expected. So you've got the Patriots, you've got the Bills, you've got the Dolphins, and all these fan bases are now worked up, not only because it's the first year back after the pandemic, but also you got all 3 teams thinking, you know what? We've got a legitimate shot at the division title because the Patriots aren't the Patriots anymore. So the king is dead. Long live the king, whomever it might be.
I think that's really a fun way to go into this season because we're in 2021. We got a little bit of that Tua rookie last year. We have a new rookie in Wilson and Mac Jones and Josh Allen, of course. This decade could be tremendously fun. There could be success. There could be down, but this could be the best division in football 2023, and beyond. So, again, this goes back to the really having the opportunity to put your collective cleat on the chin strap of the AFC East, because I just don't think the Jets are going to do anything this season, and this is a very important game for the Dolphins. So, speaking of which, important is Jalen Waddle. There's a lot of sunlight coming in, Chip, so I'm going to figure out a better way to do this, but there is a lot of prismy action going on here. I think there's like a rainbow.
Well, it's kind of a nice effect to show off, so, I mean, it's not all bad.
Someone's going to get this card. I know that there's a lot of people on social media that are claiming they're the biggest Jalen Waddle fan. I need to know who that is before I part with this. But the easiest way to part with this, and this is why we're doing this, is not for gain here. It's for charitable gain. So if anybody wants to donate live or send it to me in terms of the screenshot of you doing it directly to the DCC, the Dolphins Cancer Challenge. Something that's extremely and more recently close, near and dear to my heart. My mother is doing terrific, thank God. But and I appreciate everyone's support. That's another reason why I'm doing this. In our my guy Patty Perk said he had a Charizard card shiny like that, and my son Jordan, who's 6 years old, is dying for a Charizard card, Patty. So we'll talk if you have that. But back to, in a serious sense. I don't care about the finances here. This is a fun hobby that I'm enjoying with my son. He's loving it, and we're getting a lot of doubles. Chip, you know the value of doubles? I love doubles. So this is going to a lucky fan. The easiest way is a screenshot of a donation right now to the DCC. That's the charity of choice. If there's some charity near and dear to your heart, we allow that. So we're we're going to talk some nice plays because we're going to segue in a weird way financially to how we can benefit you all out there. And I'm glad my guy, Patty Perkins, 518, is in here. He is the one who made the Charizard reference, so we'll be wheeling and dealing post-show and throughout the day. But I looked around a lot of plays in this Miami Buffalo Bills game that I think are the low-hanging fruit. And, of course, if you like anything, you go to betus.com. You throw a promo code in there. You get 125% bonus from the PhinManiacs code. You make a couple of dollars. Mike Gesicki. I know everyone's about to jump off the cliff because he had 0 catches last week. He actually had 1, but it was taken back because of a penalty. It made a first down, but then it was one of those shoot yourself in the foot penalties, so it was taken off. So it wasn't like he was invisible. But 2.5. That's nothing for any decent tight end going into a matchup where he's averaged 3.5 catches per against the Bills for his career. So I do think that 3 or 4 is the number to circle. You get plus level money too. You get plus 145. So the books are saying they're not very confident in it. I'm confident in 3 or 4 catches for Gesicki. So I think that's probably the easiest play. And another play that I love, Chip, is Devontae Parker. Because he's going to be peppered with targets, he's really at a very low over-under figure at 48.5. That's cake. I think that can be attained in 2.5 quarters, maybe even the first half. What are your thoughts on those 2 plays?
Yeah, I like the Parker pick better simply because he is going to be – he's going to be on the field a lot. I think I wouldn't panic on the Gesicki stuff yet. I say this because I do have him on my main fantasy team, which has nothing to do with this, I know. But Parker's going to get the snaps. The reason, in my opinion, Gesicki didn't get as many snaps last week is because Miami played a close game, was trying to establish the run, and Gesicki simply isn't the run blocker that the other tight ends on the field and on the roster are. And I really think that's the main reason for it. So I like the Parker play better than the Gesicki play, but I'm going to defer to your wisdom with it on both picks.
If I had a more confident pick, it is the Parker play because, as you said, if this is the smash mouth run kind of game, 17-13, 20-17, so on and so forth, again, it's the specialties. If Gesicki is needed for the pass, he'll be in there more than a Smythe, Shaheen, or Hunter Long, what have you. So you're right there. There is a little bit of nervousness. I love the number, 2.5 for any viable target is too good of a number to overlook. But I do think, look, if the Dolphins go down in the fourth quarter, you have to just pepper Devontae Parker over and over and over again. So I think about 5 catches, 75 yards for Parker, and hopefully he gets a score. I think that's a nice kind of bar to have. And then I have a combined play, and then we'll wrap up the show, Chip, and we'll let everybody get to their Sunday prep for the games and what have you. Combining both field goal units, it's a 3.5 combined number for total field goals in the game. Last week, Jason Sanders only had the lone field goal, and I tweeted earlier this week, I think maybe yesterday or the other day, I don't want to see Jason Sanders in the early goings. Like if you're at the 20, you're at the 15, you need to score a touchdown. You can't get 9 points when 21 could do it. We'll see Sanders probably when really needed. Clock moving down in the second quarter, going into the locker room, getting 3 points. That's fine. I don't care where you are. If you can get yourself a couple of points going into a half, that's great. Last couple of minutes, you need field goals. Great. I don't want to see Jason inside 40 yards until the game is really needed. But on the other side of things, I do think that combined, Buffalo and Miami could get 4 or more field goals together. What are your thoughts on over 3.5 combined field goals?
Yeah, see, I like to hedge my bets. So because as a guy who wants the Dolphins to win, I would definitely take the under, because I think if you take the under, it's a higher scoring game. And I think if Miami's offense gets untracked, I think they'll be okay. So I would take the under just from a personal I don't want to be personally crushed point of view if Dolphins lost, but at least I won the over. I would also take the over on this because I think it's essential, combined specifically, not just for the Dolphins, but I think it's specifically important that Miami holds Buffalo to field goal attempts like they did last week and with their bend but don't break defense. You can have and I've said this last year, they played a similar setup, but they collapsed in the Buffalo game. You can have those yards. Between the 30s, you can have those. You want to kick field goals? That's perfectly great. You give all day, we'll take the touchdown. So I think the bold play is take the over on the field goals because that's not a lot of field goals in a game that could end up having a lot of play, like I said, outside the red zone.
Exactly right. And the bend not break defense is something that's nerve-wracking. The opportunistic aspect of the Dolphins creating those ball-hawking turnovers, it goes back to even 2 years ago when this coaching staff was creating that defensive backfield turnover battle, and it's creative competition. I'm sure that those guys who got their hands on the ball, whether it be a pass defended, a fumble recovery, they're showing off, and as they should, because it really should be kind of like, like a bounty, like war booty. You know what I mean? Like those balls. And that's, I think, what this coaching staff is preaching is not just make a stop, get a turnover, get that ball on the carpet, so to speak, and hopefully you can make a game-changing play. So that's what I'm seeing out of this coaching staff. It's not just doing the job, it's doing the job to the point where it's, changing the game. Because every play, this defense could change the game.
Agreed.
So we are really going to wrap up here now, Chipper, if there's anything that you have on the docket. And as for the Waddle card, what I want to do is, since there's like literally 5, 6, 7 people that I'm going over these Twitter comments, I'm going to pick 4 people, unless there's a donation that comes in. And throughout the next couple of hours, we'll maybe see if we get a Twitter poll on who deserves the card. This isn't the last Waddle card that we'll give away. If he scores today, I'll give away 2 Waddle cards. This one and something else. So that's something for everyone to keep in mind. A Waddle touchdown gets another person getting a Waddle card today. So last thoughts going on into week 2 against the hated Buffalo Bills.
Very quickly, based on what you said, all I heard it all off season. I have heard it this season again. What the Dolphins are doing on defense with the turnovers is not sustainable. At some point in time, you're going to have to take a look at what's going on and say, this is no longer just a fluke. This is no longer a fad. It's no longer a trend even. This is a practice. This is what they've been doing. They key on turnovers. And you can say, they don't keep happening like this. When they keep happening, at some point in time, you have to take a look at it and go, maybe this does keep happening for Miami. Maybe their defense is predicated specifically on doing this. Will they get burned sometimes? Sure. X baits people. X will get beat sometimes. It's going to happen. Regarding the cards, I wish I knew more how to speak intelligently about it. I just found out not too long ago, this shows how ignorant I am about cards, how popular and how valuable some Pokemon cards were. And I said to my son, suddenly, and he's 15 now, but he collected Pokemon for a long time. And I'm like, did you know these were valuable? You didn't get rid of your cards, did you? And he looked at me like I was, I had 3 heads. He's like, no, Dad, I didn't get rid of my Pokemon cards. You know what those things are worth? He has them stashed somewhere under his bed, along with who knows what. He's 15. I don't want to know. But he has them stashed in a little safe place under his bed. So, yeah, the whole card thing, I'm brand new to it, not going to pretend to understand it. But good luck to those who, especially if Jalen Waddle scores today, good luck to those who are going to get the cards.
I mean, I'm learning this game. This is like 2.0 for me. I mean, I was the guy with my friends, collecting the card, but I was paying $1 a pack, $2 a pack, going way back, riding my bicycle, So
Yeah.
Things have changed, but again, it's a hobby that I'm really enjoying with my son, and we're finding really fun ways to kind of use the cards as education. You read a little bit of the stats, you get assimilated with players. If you're a 10-year-old, learning who this player, that player, where they went to college, what their statistics are. So there really is a lot of benefit. And if we can benefit charities, then everybody wins. So for everyone down in Miami, Hard Rock Stadium in the mountains of Pennsylvania, in my area of Pennsylvania, and all across the world where Dolph fans are ready to roll today. Fins up. Thanks for watching, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Fins
Have a
up.
good one, everybody. Thanks, Chip. Take care.
You bet.